Welcome to the 1878 FM podcast. We are back. It's episode 5. And we'll just begin by congratulating Dave for going for a 10k run this morning. I'm going to give him the two boys down south. One's been for a 10k run and one feels like he's ran a marathon because of his back. So let's start with Dave.
That's the north-south divide.
It is the north-south divide.
It is the north-south divide.
And it isn't even raining down there. So that is the north-south divide.
It is windy though. It's not,
it's very windy.
It's not sunny. It's very not windy. Nice.
But I did decide.
I did decide that I'd go for a little run now. I'm trying to make it into a regular midweek sports special. And I did 5.5 miles last Wednesday, and then I did 6.7 today. So I've done my 10k. I was back home by 8 o'clock this morning, showered and at my desk by 9, and I feel good with the world. I feel at peace.
I've seen your Strava maps in the morning there, Dave. Always makes me feel kind of bad from sitting there in tracky bottoms, and you've done that amount of running. How do you feel about the pattern that you're drawing there? Because I feel like you could do more with that. I mean, obviously there must be the temptation to draw, private parts or something like that.
Yeah, I've thought about this before, more so on my bike, about trying to construct a route that looks like a massive great cock and balls, and just try and plan it out. Because I think there should be more of that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Surely online there must be like someone's already made maps of them that you can use.
Follow. Yeah, maybe
upload it or something.
I mean, because I could Google it, but I'd probably have to clear my history. But I will look at it later, or I'll have a look on Andy's laptop.
Try that.
Knock yourself out.
Try that.
By the way, lads, why can't we see you, or is that just an issue with
It's just an issue. No, it's an issue at our end.
Okay, fine.
Don't worry about it. You can hear us.
You can hear us.
Yeah, I mean that sounds good.
If not better.
There was a game at the weekend. We did speak about this last week, and Everton were victorious again, which I've not been able to say that too often in the past year.
Getting boring, isn't it?
I don't know about boring.
Not losing.
No, Man City fans must feel like
now. God, City fans must be like Everton are the same as us, mustn't he? Really? But Andy, great win at the weekend.
Brilliant, and this definitely we're starting to win those games that we always would have lost. Like we definitely would have lost to Southampton away from home, previous seasons and stuff like that as well. So I don't just getting into good habits, and it wasn't pretty. There was certainly a bit at the end when we were hanging on for dear life, but some of the blocking that people were doing, like Tarkowski chucking himself in front of. These, some of the shots from Southampton at the end. It's just every week at the moment, even though we're not the finished article, I don't think any of us would sit here and say like we're it at the moment, but we're a work in progress. But there's some of the signs, some of the things that we've been calling for, bravery and team spirit and, just a bit of steel. It's coming back to us, and it's an amazing thing to see. It really, really is.
Dave, Andy's just talked about the blocks there, and obviously we saw 3 blocks on the run that led to Everton's winning goal, and it's stuff we talked about, isn't it? Which we hadn't seen before that we are starting to see now.
It's foundation, isn't it? It's just that, as Andy says, it's steel, but I think it's born out of confidence, and I think that there's confidence running through the team. You can see that, you can see it in their faces, and as I say, and I think that ultimately is why we are not losing games that previously we very much would have lost, I think. And just that ability to kind of, come back, having been down and not being in any way phased by it. It's good to see. It's good to see. I mean, it would have been good to see because, I watched 3 games back to back on Saturday. I watched the North London derby. I watched us at Southampton, and then I watched West Ham Wolves, and I lost my signal for 10 minutes. I missed all 3 bloody goals. Missed a lot.
No.
Anyway, I had to catch up afterwards. But no, it was good to see. It was good to see. It was frustrating at the time, but good to see, and a great result. As you say, it's getting rather predictable now, isn't it?
Do you know what? I have to say as well, respect to the travelling Blues who managed to get down for the Southampton game during a rail strike as well, and just the atmosphere that our away fans are just something else, aren't they?
Yeah, it is like that. But I don't know if you quite like understand the mentality of our fan base, our away fan base. That is like that's their big night out. Do you know what I mean? Going to an away game is their big night out. Like that's what they absolutely live for. It's a complete like. it's a mentality thing of like, it's not just going the game, it's a culture. And like, as you just said, I mean, I went to Southampton the last time we won, and you've got to get up at like, I mean, you've got to get up like in the AM. I mean, that to me is already alien. So, but like,
I mean, that's some feat.
I know, weird people. But you're getting up and getting on a coach like 6 o'clock in the morning, and they're straight on the ale, and they're straight on and this is even worse. They're straight on the butties, which like, you know what I mean? Like it's 6, 7 in the morning, having a ham and cheese. Butty,
that's
you know
a
what I
mistake,
mean? That to me is that's worse than having a quick cheap rosé like our mate Cam. You know, it's. It's
some of the videos, though, on Twitter, some of the party videos that were going around of Everton fans on the way home on their buses. It looked like, like an American football team that's just won and they're flying back to like Denver or someone like that on their private jet. It looked like that. It was amazing.
Those buses,
what an amazing party.
Those buses on the way home are just complete party buses, whether you win or you lose, to be honest, because you have to make, let's be honest, with our record away, you have to make the most of it. And so those buses are something else. It's a culture. It's a real culture that these fans live for. And I always think, I always say as well on a lot of videos afterwards, they deserve it more than anyone for traveling all over the country to silly. I mean, to silly. I mean, and the daft as well. Some of them, me and Baz went to Switzerland with one of the coaches, and we were on it for like 21 hours getting to Switzerland, and some of them just don't stop. And then the game, they have a sleep, and then they're back on it after the game.
I used to. I had a season ticket for 1 year in the Lower Bullen's when we had James Beattie up front back in the halcyon days, and I used to come up from Bristol for the games. But that bus, that West Country Blues, they were called the West Country Blues, brilliant bunch of people. But used to start in Cornwall, so these people used to be at 6 a.m. or whatever, cold, dark service station.
Bladdered by the time they get to Exeter.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? So
everyone with a banjo.
Yeah.
It's like traveling with the Wurzels.
Give me a high 6, that kind of thing. So no, it was mad though, and also getting home from that game, particularly go and watch something terrible, and then they're getting home at like midnight or something.
Did anybody go to Portsmouth away in 2003? I think it was. Rooney was playing, and it was absolutely pissing it down.
2-1 win.
And it was
yellow kit.
Yeah. And it was in the days before they didn't have any cover on the away end.
Yeah.
And there was just this open thing, and the rain was coming in horizontal off the Solent. Yeah. And it was like, I mean, I'd never been to Fratton Park away before. It was like something out of Albania. I mean, it was just this fucking horrendous ground.
Albanian listeners.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, it was one of the worst grounds I've ever. It's like the third world.
2-1, Lee Carsley, Wayne Rooney, Manchester United beat Liverpool on the same day.
But
don't ask me how I know that. I just know it.
Yeah, it was cold. It was like just before Christmas, I think, 2003. And I just remember then, I mean, that was just a real example of, we know that our fans are great. We know that they travel, the length and breadth of the country, sometimes further afield, as you've suggested, lads. But I thought, God, that was a shift. And thank God they did have something to reward themselves with what was a long trek home.
And also, I don't want to cause any trouble, but did any of you guys see the video that was doing the rounds over the weekend of the terrible atmosphere at Anfield when the equaliser went in? Mm-hmm. Is that for real? Is that been altered by CGI? Is that how they watch football there?
I've never seen anything like it. No, Anfield. Andy, that was the third. That was the third.
Yeah,
that was to go 3-2 up.
Yeah.
Jeez, that was to go 3-2
like it.
No, they're horrendous. No, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're not horrendous as in like all of them, but they have got that fan base now, which is like going the game
not
is going
all
to.
Of them.
No, not all of them. There's at least 7 that are all right.
Get back to 3-2 in that game. The way that
was
game
the
had
third
gone.
goal.
That was the third goal. It went 3-2 up.
It's like I don't know if I went to Stamford Bridge a couple of years ago, and it really shocked me how it was like. It's like going to Disneyland for half of their fans now.
Being like that.
And it's the same with Anfield now. Anfield is like, I had to do a walk around it last year for like a promo video, and I hadn't been there for ages, and it was like a Sunday and there was no game on, and there was just people everywhere. It was like The Walking Dead, and there was just people everywhere milling about, going to the museum and listening to Phil Thompson's dulcet tones, and over in the museum and all that nonsense, and they're just walking around with carrier bags, and it is that image of the zombie films in the 70s. They're not like us. They're just.
But we've got to be careful though,
that
haven't we? Because we're not that far off getting a new stadium, and the thing is now with I'm not saying Anfield's like that, but say you go to Spurs. A friend of mine went to watch the NFL at Spurs the other weekend and just said it was like going to watch sport at IKEA. And we need to watch. That's a danger when you get into new stadium territory, isn't it? Like, how do we keep the Goodison spirit when you go to somewhere where there is like you can go shopping for like and have like noodles?
Well, I mean, you can't. I think you can't. I mean, it's going to be a different environment completely. It's not going to be stood outside the Spello, beforehand and sort of. It's not going to be like that for me. It's going to be a different thing.
But it's not going to be that, though. It's not going to be Disneyland. It's not going to be where people come once a year and go to the club shop and, fill the boots. It's just not. We're just a completely different culture. We are a different culture from them. Number one, we're always miserable. Generally, that's our general demeanor.
Default.
Yeah, that's our default. Yeah. And if honestly, it's just completely different. They live in just a different spectrum of how they consume football. And I think what was noticeable about that video was how many Liverpool fans commented underneath going, "This is hell. This is getting terrible." And I generally feel sorry for them because
it must do their heads in, mustn't it? I guess because it's a Norwegian tourists and stuff.
It's a weird one though, isn't it? Because obviously the more your club gets success, the more you have to bow down to that side of the game and have to get the day trippers and all that. And it's a really difficult balance.
Listen, let them get on with it. Just going on, just before we move on. Obviously, we won the game up to we've got the same amount of points as Liverpool now. But we won the game. And obviously Tarkowski and Cody were fantastic again, as well as a lot of the other defence. Coleman, I thought, did really well. Given people's concerns, thought he was excellent. Michalenko, but there's a narrative on the last couple of days. I just read a piece this morning again of almost like. It's looked that Everton have got the best defensive record in the country because they're giving up more shots. Their XG goals against is higher, so this can't continue. And stop giving them praise; they don't deserve it, and all this. It's like with football. If years ago we were all of the stats and all of this, we'd just all be saying we're doing really well, aren't we? We're not conceding goals. You don't think, oh God, in the first 3 games we give 30 chances away a game. Do you?
I seen it last night. I was watching Sky Sports News, and they have the stats on the side of the page, and I seen Jordan Pickford was 1 or 2 in the shot saved. And that can be negative. But I was like, that's his job. Like we wouldn't have been successful in the 80s without Neville Southall, and that was proved in 86.
Neville Southall's shot save would be
exactly, and that was proved in 86 with Bobby Mims. You can't. What are they supposed to do? Defenders? That's literally their job to defend. And if you're going to build a side, it has to be built over time, and you're going to need your defense. And I know what I'd rather have. I'd rather have a team doing all right with a defense that's keeping shots out than what we had last season, where they're making mistakes and giving goals away, and then someone going, but you're knocking the ball around well. So that's their job, and they'll grow. We're 8 games into a season, just from one of my worst seasons in living memory. It was hell last season. I think.
But you know what, though? We've talked about this before in this podcast, where one thing that we've been unable to do, which a lot of other good teams do, is do the rope-a-dope, soak it up a little bit, sit in really tight, and then break. I mean, and we're talking about watching Everton break is a bit of a rarity, but it's starting to happen a little bit. The goal, like you say, came from soaking up a bit of pressure and then hitting them with Iwobi tearing forward with the ball. So, we need to be getting used to. Before, it always looked like if you give a team a bit of possession, they're just going to score. It's inevitable with Everton, whereas that's not necessarily the case anymore. And that's quite an important shift. I think like during the Moyes era, they could kind of like turtle a little bit and just take the licks and then hit a team back. And I feel like we're heading towards being able to do that because of, the way that Lampard has changed the spirit of the team and the makeup of the team. So it's shifting in the right direction.
Yeah. Andy Bush, what's the rope-a-dope? I've never heard that expression before. It sounds like the sort of thing that might happen in a West Country prison.
You've never heard of rope-a-dope?
Never heard of rope-a-dope?
Come on, Dave.
Muhammad Ali.
Soaking it up against George Foreman.
Okay.
So Muhammad Ali's
got
rumble in
nothing
the
to do
jungle
with a grill,
tactic.
by the way.
It's nothing to do with we will get back to Ped and his air fryer.
Yes, we will.
Muhammad Ali, rumble in the jungle. His tactics, soak up George Foreman's punishment for the first 3 quarters and then come out literally bounce off the rope, soak it up when he's knackered, come back and spark him out, which is what he did. And that's what I feel like Everton are learning to do a little bit, like trust the defence.
Well, they're learning, and likewise, I am learning more language today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Classic. Right, onto your grill.
The grill,
the air fryer.
To be fair, number one, right, it's too early in the day for me. This is like 5 o'clock in the morning for me. This.
Okay.
And number two,
that's your peak time, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but I'm just like finishing off a PlayStation game at
that
time.
But okay. Dave and I, because of the way we're recording, we normally can see the pair of you, Baz and Ped, but we can't. So we were Dave and I were wondering whether this is for like a big reveal where the screen's going to come on and Ped's actually got his air fryer.
Ped's got a chef hat on.
I lost a bet, and I understand that, and the grill will make an appearance, but not this week, just due to technical issues, which you are both keenly aware of.
Well, listen. I'm a reasonable and generous man, Ped, and for that reason, I'm actually going to give you some more time to prepare your grill, and actually display it, because a bet's about. I mean, if you remember, I did forecast, I did predict the fact that Dominic Calvert-Lewin would play no part at some.
You work in the game, Dave. I believe you had.
I believe you had inside trade.
You know what? I can honestly, and I do technically kind of work in the game. In fact, talking of which, I've got to go in 10 minutes. But anyway, I do technically sort of work in the game. But I promise you, I swear, the fact that I had no inside intel in there other than just a gut feeling and a hunch. And on this occasion, it proved to be correct.
Let me just move away from footy for a sec, because we were on the air fryer thing. I was watching Gogglebox.
Oh yeah,
I love Gogglebox.
I hate Gogglebox.
Yeah, so do I.
What, you love it or you hate it?
I love it.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I just think it's run its course.
No, it hasn't.
It's just people watching telly, and it used to be good.
Do you know why
Jim
I like
Royle
it?
Was the only decent one who's ever done it.
You know why I like it? Because it allows me to see programs without me having to invest the time in it.
Yes, exactly. And I use it as a guide to what to watch.
And I look, in fact, there's Bad Sisters is on it, and I thought, I'm going to watch that.
For the last 9 weeks.
Well, that's good for you.
I could have told you that.
Well, I don't need you to tell me. But anyway, let me get me points
out. When they row like an old married couple.
I also want to do is just get this.
I just don't know where to look.
The other day, they had the masked dancer.
You can't see us. What are you talking about? The look.
We're smiling into each other's eyes. No, the masked dancer. Now, I get the masked singer. Yeah. And I because of you, I give it a go. And it was all right.
Amazing.
Wasn't bad. Yeah. The masked dancer.
I'm not having the masked dancer either.
No. I was going to say, because I could see both of the.
Yeah.
Andy is having back issues at the moment, but I think once his hips are loose, I could see Andy doing it, and Dave. But what is the masked dancer all about?
It's people dancing.
I know, but
I get deaf.
For what point? Yeah. I get the singing, because you go, oh my God, what a voice! I didn't realize they had a good voice. Oh, great! I didn't realize they could step.
Do you think, like, do you think? I think. See, this is where I think Dave's missed the trick by doing the ice skating. I think he's just put the tip in. But I think if he'd gone on the masked dancer, he would have gone, balls deep. I think he's missed the shot
now as well, because Dance on Ice is bigger.
Is it though?
It is bigger.
Oh, I think it's utterly shite. Like it is like
what, Dancing on Ice?
Yeah, it's garbage. It's basically like.
Do you know why it's good?
Go on.
Because people, I like it when
you seeing people fall over.
I don't actually. I like the good ones, but I like seeing people learn a skill that I look and think, I wouldn't do that, mate, because I just know I would fall.
No, okay. What they should do is get the bad contestants off Strictly and put them on that. Tony Adams should go on Strictly
on Dancing.
It should be like the Europa League.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
You fall down,
drop out, and then
going to
I dropped them out to Dancing on Ice into Strictly.
No, Strictly is an art.
And it isn't an art.
You've seen Dave on Dancing on Ice. He was basically falling over for a routine.
Ice. You've got to go on ice. The nature is you fall over. Dave, go on.
In the days when I was a contemporary ice dancer, it is difficult, And granted, I know I made it look even more difficult than it is. But I wasn't the best contestant they've ever had. However, I can claim to be the 9th best minor celebrity ice dancer of 2011. And for that, there's not many things that I have won in my time.
You need to be back for the best of the best. Andy Bush, is there any of these that you would do a Dance on Ice, say Strictly Come Dancing? Or the big one is just coming up next month and I'm excited about is The Jungle. Would you do which one of those three if you had to pick, would you go for?
I'm sure I'm not even going to say anything because you lot murdered me for saying that I watched Married at First Sight UK the other week. I'm still dealing with the fallout.
I'm not asking you to watch. I'm asking you if your agent phones you.
Yeah, would
says,
you be in it?
Bushwhacker, would you go in it?
Yes.
I'd like to do Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah.
I like the idea, like you say, learning a skill. Ice skating is too difficult and too dangerous.
Yeah.
I'd like to. I wouldn't want to eat like an anus or something in the jungle. So.
Not again.
Not again.
Like King's Cross on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
I don't know for that on Married on First Sight.
Hey, listen, Andy. I think if you do realistically want to do that, right? And I'd like to see on there. I think you need a new agent.
I do.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, Andy, you have to go through the torment of Channel 5 Talking Head show soon.
I'm not. Can't even get on them, mate. I'm not in the.
Have you ever thought of like?
You will soon.
What? No, because the ones I like, and these are like completely different. But I like the ones where people just like sit on trains and go from like we're going on a train across Scotland, or we're going
like
like
the train
Portillo.
not Michael Portillo, not him strictly, not just his dress sense. It's shocking.
Someone like that.
No, like the little Scottish comedian. She's about 5 foot. Not.
Oh, I know.
She's not even 5 foot. She goes on like really good trips and like has.
I'd like to do the one where they go like they go on like I would love one of those big RV. Like we have like a big camper van.
Yeah,
that'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Motorhoming.
But
Motorhoming.
Would you not do the jungle, Andy? No.
No, I just the eating stuff, eating like bugs and that or whatever. I just couldn't do it.
Andy, when they're going to offer you 50 grand to do it, I tell you what, I bet you can eat some bugs then.
Dave, would you do it?
Give me the bugs.
Conservatory time.
Would you do it, Dave? The jungle.
I don't fancy it, as I've said before, for a lot of reasons. However, you can't possibly turn it down, can you? No. When they start waving the checkbook.
And to be fair, it also proves you were famous.
Exactly.
This
is the last bit on the jungle. The last bit on the jungle. If you were in there, what would Andy? I think it's going to be the eating trial that he wouldn't want to do. Is there anything? What would be like your biggest fear?
You're not supposed to tell anybody.
Well, he's not going on it yet. He can change. He can change. But what would it be? What would it be, Dave? For you? Spiders would be mine. Spiders would end me.
No. See, for me, I think the hardest bit would be on the opening show where you have to do that height thing, where you have to go out on the walking the plank thing over that thing. That would be terrifying. And then after that, for me, it would be in closed spaces. It would be feeling claustrophobic in like a coffin.
Jordan North, like literally blew his load on that, didn't he? Let's be honest.
In Wales as well, couldn't even have the decency to do it.
As soon as he done that, I mean, let's be honest, it made the kid fair play.
It did,
yeah. He's a nice lad as well.
No, he is.
He's, apart from he sports Burnley, but he that made him because he was like terrified, but he built from that, didn't he?
From that,
and that's,
do you know what? As well, I wouldn't get in a helicopter. You wouldn't get me in a helicopter.
No.
The
more I think of it, the more I realise I'd be an absolutely terrible contestant.
I'll be honest with you.
Go in a helicopter.
You're not going on it.
No, I know.
You're not going on it.
I'm saying they'll go in the helicopter, jumping out to be like, I'm not, mate.
You're not going.
I'll go in the boat thing, get on that walk, mate. Go with spot. No, in fact, I'm a better watcher. So I'll pull myself out of the running.
I think you could go.
I did win it in Manchester, though. I was good in the
wakeboarding with Dave Vitti this week, joined by Baz.
Yeah, I think me and
I've done wakeboarding.
Dave explaining paddleboarding to me, showing me how to do it. I think
that's what I'm saying. There's a thing for everything now. There's so many channels. Channel 5 will have a dip at anything, won't it?
Dave shows Baz how to paddleboard and come back with dry Cornish pasties.
Do you know, it's funny. Right. It's funny you should say that, because to share some of the backstage gossip is that before we started recording today, we were talking about potentially myself and aforementioned Andy Bush playing badminton together, and then we thought that might be quite good to do like a sort of celebrity mixed doubles thing. So we're going to create Podminton, right, which is essentially kind of like a badminton based podcast where we can they do all these things where the people play golf against all sorts of random pairings, don't they? So why can't we do more badminton?
That'd be good. We could
talk whilst we're playing, like that's
we could present it. You got to introduce it like a poor man's Ant and Deck, and then you could take it over, and then we could interview all of you after it. But we'd also have honestly ongoing audio.
Not even joking. There is worse stuff on Channel 5 at the moment.
There is. This is Alan Partridge's dream, all this, isn't it? Yeah. This is Alan Partridge's dream.
I know Dave's got to run in him because he has got to go and do football.
I've got an interview to record. Do you know what? I'm all right. I'm okay. I'll bugger off in about 3 minutes.
What
Oh,
about
so let's go to him.
I was just going to
What?
say very quickly. What about like acupuncture with Andy Bush? Andy Bush tours all the acupuncture places around the country,
Healing.
soaking up the local
healing my back with Andy Bush, and we could just send them to different treatments. Back,
just
Friday,
getting needles in my back and TENS machines and stuff like that as well.
Thai massage. But I was going to say, it's just actually people standing on his back.
Yeah, tough fiction. Listen, we've got it. We've got an option there to build something good here.
We have.
Dave,
Happy ending with Andy.
It was always coming. It was always coming.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
Well, there you go. Andy's just painted it for anyone.
Andy Bush's happy ending on Sky Max. Free can of lager and a power.
Bravo +1.
Dave, I'm coming to you. Manchester United, Sunday, 7 o'clock. Sunday, 7 o'clock.
Can we talk about, forget about the match review, right? Let's talk about the kickoff time. I'm not having this 7 o'clock. I don't like Sunday games, full stop. No. Never have done.
No.
I think that's because I don't like Sundays, actually, which ultimately is a problem. And it goes back to those days where you'd be worried about having not done your homework when you're watching Antiques Roadshow, and the whole thing becomes really depressing.
Yeah.
But I don't like Sunday games. But Sunday at 7 o'clock, that's the worst ever. That's worse than a Monday night game for me. I don't know.
It's because Man United are playing in Europe on Thursday, and they're trying to squeeze all the games onto TV for Thursday night. So I don't think BT have got an early Saturday game, which they normally do. So they've shoved ours to Sunday night so they can get the maximum output. But I've never experienced anything like it, seen anything like it before. I mean, the only one I can think of
worse, FA Cup games at that time, but
the only one I can ever think of which was worse was there was an 11 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday morning at Manchester City. We got beat 1-0, and I can.
Danny Mills scored.
Danny Mills. Well, his son scored last night for us.
Yeah.
So it's got nothing to do with it, but I just wanted to drop it.
Years I've told you this before. Years ago, and you will know this, and the lads may know. Is that on Grand National Day?
Yeah.
Everton used to kick off at 11:30, and Liverpool, whoever was at home on National Day.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember beating QPR 1-0. I remember when I was at Everton, we were training on the Friday. We had Portsmouth at home on the Saturday morning at 11:30, and we beat.
See, that's better though for me. I don't mind getting out of the way early. It's 7 o'clock on a Sunday is nonsense.
Someone did say they can't ruin the weekend for you though until like 9 o'clock.
That's true.
Yeah.
It is like by then anyway.
The only problem is it's bath time and then just after Highway to Heaven and just before Bullseye, isn't it? So can you not say it's ruined? That's ruined it for me.
Heart to Heart used to be a Sunday night.
I'm not old enough for Heart to Heart.
Heart to Heart was a Sunday night.
Murder!
I was a kid, Dukes of Hazzard as well.
No, Dukes of Hazzard.
There was a Saturday, but it went to
the Sunday. Back at Dukes of Hazzard, it does seem slightly racist now, doesn't it?
I haven't seen it again, but I imagine
I think it was slightly racist.
I think at the time it probably was. But Dave, as the game concerned, are you confident or how are you feeling? United have obviously just been belted 6-3 in their derby, and
I don't think we should get overly confident about them having just been thumped because they are still a decent side. They've got decent players. They might also be on the backlash. But that said, though, in terms of how we are at the minute, I'm not worried about anybody. Genuinely, I'm not going into this kind of thinking, "Oh God, this we're going to get murdered." I really don't think we are. I think that we're a match for anybody. And we're confident and we're solid at the moment and we're difficult to beat. And I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not looking forward to 7 o'clock, but I'm looking forward to watching the game and I'm not concerned.
Andy?
No, I agree. I don't kind of fear anyone at the moment, bar City, but maybe with a bit of Arsenal in there. I don't think anyone else is amazing or setting the world alight actually that much. At the moment, everyone's still a bit of a work in progress because of this weird season that we're having. But I mean, United did look pretty ropey in that first half. I know Man City are brilliant and everything. They were rope-a-dope in that first half.
They did try and rope it over and they got absolutely had off.
Yeah. So I don't know. But we're a bit up and down against United, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure.
I think we're all right at home against them. I think obviously we beat them last year at home. No, it's a game I don't really fear. I think the worry with Manchester United is that I think the last few games they've been winning like us, just doing the formulaic thing. And I think on Sunday they got an eye opener, and I think that means they will change things around. The likes of Casemiro will come in, and that's the unknown, isn't it? They will make changes for this game, and I think that's the only worry. Does Ronaldo start again? And does looking for people's phones to throw, that kind of thing. So there is that worry that they'll have to respond to Sunday. But we hopefully will just keep going, tick over, and we'll see what happens.
I'm not worried in the extent that it's. I'd be more worried, obviously, if it was at Old Trafford for backlashes and stuff like that. But at Goodison, I think with our crowd and the atmosphere. But you're right. But the thing I'm looking at, the game in Europe does complicate it for them. I know they can make 8 changes and try different things and whatever, but it's still complicated. They're away. They're in Europe. They've got to travel home. They've got to have a day to prepare and all of that stuff, and then they've got to go again. I think for Everton to just have one clear run at it, I think it puts us in a good position. I'm not saying we'll win, but I'm not concerned. I think, like you said.
Yeah, I think they've been doing quite well up until the eye opener that you just said for the City game, but they've been kind of not playing brilliantly either. They've just been kind of like tucking away a few points, and I think it was like a bit of a false dawn actually. So like you say, Goodison, I fancy us against anyone at Goodison, to be honest with you. And this team is evolving and changing and getting tougher and harder to beat. And I just love the vibe of our midfield with Idrissa Gueye and Anana in there and stuff like that as well, and Iwobi, that kind of the relationship they've got, and I fancy us against anyone. So it's currently a good time to be a Blue, that's for sure.
It's a test, isn't it? It's the first. I mean, obviously Liverpool was a test, but this is after 2 wins. It's the first real test to see where we are. It might be that eye opener to people to go, we're not as good as what we thought we were. You mentioned earlier on about the shots we faced. This might, or it might be the other way where people go, actually, we're not a bad side and we can kick on from this. So, well, I think we'll find out a little bit more about the team and we'll find out where we actually are. And obviously, we've got Tottenham and Newcastle coming up, and they're not easy games. Yeah. So it would be nice to put more points on the board. Of course, that shows how important the Southampton win was as well, because of these games coming up. But you've got to play them all. And I just hope that we can get to that break in 6 weeks' time in a nice little place and feel good about the whole thing. Yeah. And then you've got 6 weeks on, and I think this is the first one, isn't this? The first one of a real tough run on paper, but normally we do all right on tough runs.
Yeah,
I mean,
go on,
sorry, I was just going to say the other thing that was a concern last season, and he's proven me wrong, is that I was kind of worried that Frank was one of these managers where you lose 4-3, or when you do lose, you lose really heavily, and we're going to rack up a terrible goal difference and all that kind of stuff. But I've been so impressed at how they've tightened it up. I mean, we really have tightened up. So that kind of thing where same in the Southampton game, you go behind. There's not the crumble like, oh, they should just give up before, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that is a thing that he's got out of their system, which is great.
Yeah. Bit of character in the team now, isn't it? A bit of leadership, and it goes a long way.
Absolutely, and long may it continue. And in the Dominic Calvert-Lewin sweepstake, I wonder if he'll be back in the squad this week.
Blimey, I know you'd hope so, wouldn't you? He's missed some games, hasn't he? So that's a run, that is.
Well, this is coming on to this is the 9th game of the season, and we've not seen it for a single minute. So fingers crossed.
What's his situation with contract? Like, if they looking at him for a new contract,
got a bit more. Yeah, so he's got just under 3 years left. So they're gonna have to. They've got a decision to make whether they renew or whether they whatever.
Because he's getting close to being one of those players that people wouldn't sign to a long contract in a million years just because he ain't going to play enough games. You're like pay as you play type deal, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
He's going to have to prove. He's going to have to prove himself. Yeah.
Right, we'll leave it there. Andy, thank you very much for your time. Go and relax that back, mate.
I will.
And hopefully you're feeling better next week.
You can go and relax it. Baz has said relax it.
I told you to.
Baz, I will. Thanks, mate. Yeah, cheers, man.
He's just going to stand up.
He was going to walk around and put more pressure on it. So go and chill out, Andy. We'll get that TV show sorted soon. That is it from us. We'll be back next week. Take it easy. See you later.
Bye.